I'm going to show you what I think is a very simple marmalade recipe. The first thing to do is to separate the skin of the orange from the pith inside and from the juice and the pips. And I think the easiest way to do that is just to peel it. I like my marmalade to be a bit chunky, so having peeled the oranges, you then need to cut them into slices, shreds. So I just lay them on a chopping board, 2 or 3 at a time, and just chop them into shreds about 3 millimeters thick. Do just the same with the 2 lemons as you have with the oranges. So for the next stage, you need a fine gauze bag, which you can buy in any kitchen shop, or a bit of the old-fashioned way is to use muslin. So having peeled the oranges, the next stage is to cut them in half and then squeeze them into a muslin bag over a bowl. That way the juice is going to run through, and in the bag you will get the pith and the pips and the remainder of the orange, and that's the pectin that's going to help your marmalade to set. Okay, you now make the muslin into a bag just by tying it with a bit of string. You can squeeze out most of the juice, goes into your preserving pan, and then add to the pan the juice that's come out of your oranges, the chopped skin, and 2.5 litres of cold water. So simmer for about 2 hours until the skin is soft. Then you need to remove the muslin bag and squeeze it really hard, trying to get as much juice out of it as possible. Then measure the contents of the pan in a measuring jug. There should be 1.7 litres. And then you need to get your calculator and work out so that you add 450 grams of sugar for every ½ litre of liquid. Return that to the pan and add your sugar. And then you heat it gently to bring the sugar into solution, and then turn up the heat and boil it vigorously until it reaches setting point, which could be 50 minutes. About every 10 minutes, take a spoonful of jam, put it onto a cold plate, and if you get any sort of skim forming at all on the top, that's it, setting point, turn off the heat straight away. You're going to need some clean, sterilised jam jars. To sterilise them, you can just put them in a dishwasher if you've got one, put them in the oven at about 140 degrees centigrade for 10 minutes, or you can put them in a saucepan with some boiling water. So here are just a few tips, things that I've done wrong making marmalade. Is one, make sure the pan's big enough. If you have the pan too full and you heat it too vigorously, it will all boil over your cooker, and all that sugar is just going to be a nightmare to clean the cooker. Make sure your pan's big enough. Second thing is, when you're dissolving the sugar, don't heat it too vigorously, or it's all going to stick to the bottom when you get a load of burnt marmalade, which will taste absolutely revolting. Probably the most common mistake is to boil it for too long, go beyond the setting point, in which case your marmalade is going to set solid like concrete in the jar. So when it's reached setting point, turn off the heat. If you want to have super clear marmalade, it's worth skimming off any scum that's formed. Wait for about 15 minutes, otherwise the fruit will just settle out in the jars. Give it a stir, and then fill your jars. Marmalade made like this should last for 6 to 12 months. If you've got a good lid on it, it should last for at least a year, and I have to say I've kept it for 3 or 4 years without any problems. In fact, I've never seen a mouldy jar of marmalade. So there you have it, homemade marmalade with river fruit and oranges. Should be absolutely fantastic. There's a complete recipe on the website, or if you get a kit from us with the oranges and lemons, there'll be a recipe included.